Hi fellow collectors, and welcome back to another episode of Scott's Soldiers. Over the years I've managed to pick up a number of pieces which could be called personality figures. If you've noticed, a few of them have sneaked into other videos, but I wanted to break them out and give them some airtime of their own. Over the decades, any number of makers have done military, non-military, historical characters, and others from the silver screen or fiction. I think this is an interesting branch of the hobby and allows collectors who are not into military to collect even popular culture or fantasy figures like Dracula, Doctor Who, Sherlock Holmes, Jane Austen, or Laurel and Hardy, or that elusive king and country Elvis Presley or the Beatles. Should have picked them up in '92 when I had the chance. I always find it interesting when I view another collection or even a diorama and there is a personality figure which is placed either as an inside joke or to see if it's noticed or can be found. A sort of Where's Waldo moment. These are my personality figures which for any number of reasons caught my eye. I found them unique or they added something out of the ordinary to my collection. So let's take a look.
I'm going to present these figures in no particular order. This is King & Country's Hercule Poirot, number WODO 60. I for one enjoyed the Agatha Christie detective novels and later the movies and television series. For me, David Suchet will always be Poirot, just like Jeremy Brett was Sherlock Holmes. Which reminds me, maybe it's time I should be looking for a Holmes figure. Take a look at these figures of the late Queen Elizabeth II, which I showed you in episode 56. These are from Britain's. The first is Queen Elizabeth II on horseback, number 41075. Don't like the face much, but that's what I got. And the remainder are Britain's number 43052, 43053, 43054, and 43055. I initially bought these Queen Elizabeth figures on impulse, and right away I had buyer's regret. I thought maybe I should have invested in other figures instead, but here they are, and if you're looking to find these at, say, a show, you're going to be out of luck. I couldn't even find any at the last London show. Over the last 30 years or so, Britain's has done a large quantity of personality figures, beyond just the royal monarchs, and these are two figures close to Canadian military history. These came out in late 2023, and they are representative of how good Britain's and other makers have become at doing figures. The level of painting and sculpting are a galaxy away from what the company was doing a century ago. British General James Wolfe, number 10134, and French General Marquis de Montcalm, number 10135. I can only imagine what a meeting between these two might have been had they survived their one and only encounter at Quebec. I've said it, and I will say it again. Club membership has its benefits. Belonging to the OMSS has enabled me to pick up unique figures made by Britons exclusively for the OMSS. While I'm not privy to the process by which this happens, like many OMSS collectors, I am grateful to Britons and the club's past executives for making these figures possible. To do bespoke figures for the OMSS is not for the faint of heart, but Britons has done it twice. This figure of Queen's Ranger, obviously not a personality figure, and for Canadian General and Commanding Officer of the Canadian Expeditionary Force, General Currie, number 10073. I could wax on about this figure of General Currie, but I'll stop here and instead ask Britons and the OMSS to think about their next joint venture. Perhaps World War II General Criar, or for the centenary of the Royal Canadian Air Force, Air Aces Buzz Burling or Billy Bishop, or a multi-figure set of the Snowbirds. This is the King & Country Kriegsmarine figures of Grand Admiral Donitz, KM012, and Submariner Preen, KM002. As I was buying the Kriegsmarine sets, These seem natural to add some personality to what I was trying to capture in my diorama. Likewise with King and Country's Sir Keith Parks, number RAF072, which I displayed in episode number 18. The following figures are a result of my subscriptions to Toy Soldier Model Figure magazine. The magazine used these figures as a promotional item. Depending on the subscription, they came as a casting or painted. From Ted Toys, Joseph Brandt, Abraham Lincoln, John McCrae. For some reason, I think this figure of British General Wolfe and Winston Churchill are made by Dorset. It has a GB mark on the bottom, which to me suggests Giles Brown, and these also came as magazine promotions. This is a William King miniatures of Wellington. I bought this as a casting from the old Under Two Flags store in London some 29 years ago. This Thomas Gunn figure is of Wolfgang Luth. Now, I don't know who he is, but he was part of a set, SS037B, which I had bought about 10 years ago, I guess. Anyway, it also appeared in episode 1. This nostalgia figure is called Quartermaster Hall, an early Victoria Cross winner who is also a Canadian. He is part of set number 165 that included the Nova Scotia Chebucto Greys. Now, Nostalgia did some odd sets, and this has to be one of them. I showed this hatchet figure of a Napoleonic general, it's titled General Beauharnais, in episode 41, which several of you helped me to identify, so thanks to all of you. This set is by Tradition of London, and I bought it at the Armory of St. James, actually first week of December 2023. I commented on it in episode 59, and it's starting to grow on me. I think it's a good purchase. Its set number is H3. I purchased this figure at the Quebec Citadel. Its box says it's made by Tin Soldier Collection, and I have no idea who or what that is. It's the Marquis de Montcalm, and like the previous Britain's figure, it's well sculpted and painted, and it's a nice souvenir from my trip to Quebec. How could I forget Les Drapeaux de France in Paris, a great store filled with toy soldiers and other figures, including flats. Beaucoup des anciens étudiants français ont lu les aventures d'Arsène Lupin, le gentleman cambrioleur, et pour la prochaine génération, Netflix offre une version unique. Voici mon figure of Arsène Lupin, the gentleman burglar. Along the lines of royalty are these two sets by Drummer Boy Miniatures. These figures are still available online, and I'll leave a link in the description paragraph. A friend who is downsizing his collection knew I had been to Hawaii often and that I coveted these figures. Now I'm going to butcher these names, so I apologize in advance. They are number RKH10, King Kalakaua, and number RQH12, Queen Liliuokalani of the Royal Hawaiian family, circa 1890. Now, if you know anything about the history of the Hawaiian people prior to 1893, these figures could start your review of Hawaii's history and possibly change your perspective on its current history. Personality figures are a mainstay of the hobby, and I imagine there are some collectors who only collect personalities. Things like Napoleon or General Custer, King Arthur, the list goes on and on. As I said earlier, they can add a touch of whimsy or be the center of attention of what you are trying to display. Either way, I don't believe it's something you should discount in your pursuit of a theme or time period that you're focused on. I hope you enjoyed this rather diverse glimpse into my multiple personalities, or should I say figures. Please don't forget the like or subscribe buttons, and until next time, keep collecting.